What's going on, true believers? Chris Matt coming at you with a really cool figure review. Today we are going over the Kenner's Legends of the Dark Knight Lethal Impact Bane. I'm so glad I was able to get this figure. He's really cool looking up close. Speaking of which, if you guys want to get this figure, I always say please, first and foremost, check with your local comic shop and see if you can pick it up from them, because you never know what type of treasures they'll have waiting within. And if not, if you don't have an LCS in your area, then you're going to have to go to the secondary market, because this figure was released in 1996, so it's not going to be on the more modern websites. For me, I want to give a shout out to my buddy Todd, that he was doing a live figure auction, and he had this up for grabs, and I had to jump on it. So thank you so much, Todd. Appreciate you, buddy. Now, for this figure, as you can see, you get the cool window, and I like how you can't really see it in the lighting here, kind of, is the bat signal is part of the blister pack. That is cool. And then it's all fancy schmancy because it says Premium Collector Series. And you're like, all right. And what I really enjoy the most is Kenner kind of made their own little story with these figures. And before we get into that, what I really do enjoy is that they actually use the artwork from the Legends of the Dark Knight comic book series. So A+ on that, Kenner. And it even says here, has the old school DC Elseworlds logo there. That is so awesome. Come to this side of the blister pack, you just see Bane. You come around here, and this is what I was talking about, is they actually, since this is supposed to be like an Elseworld, you get a really cool read-up on what this story is supposed to be and why all these figures look nightmarish. And here, so you guys can kind of see what's going on there. And no, you can't have my proof of purchase. I'm just kidding. Then you flip around to this side, blister pack again. Nothing on the top. And then you gotta actually get something cool on the bottom for once, and it kind of shows you how to make Bane go smashy smash and how to put the weapon in his hand. So that's cool. I care about that. And what we really, really do care about today is this Bane a really cool figure or not? So let's go ahead and get him out of the packaging and get a closer look at this monster of a toy. And here's Bane out of the packaging. And aesthetic-wise, its character, this particular piece, is very pleasing to the eye. Very comic accurate, even though it is supposed to be an Elseworld figure. Now, this is from 96. This is Kenner. So even though this thing is a beautiful piece, in terms of posability, we're going to run into some issues. But still, just being able to put him on a shelf like this, one hell of a gorgeous piece. So let's take him off the stand and look at everything about this character. Bane was created by Chuck Dixon, Doug Moenick, and Graham Nolan for the 1993 Nightfall event. His first appearance was Batman Vengeance of Bane #1 from January 1993. And this character, he possesses a mix of just massive brute strength and exceptional intelligence. He was born and raised in a Santa Prisca prison, having to serve the term of his father's crimes along with his mother, and then his mother passed away, and then the warden kept him. So he knew nothing but bars his whole life. And this is what leads to him being experimented on with a drug called Venom, and this is what leads him to get to the swole look that he has. And at this point, Bane fakes his death, escapes, and goes to Gotham, which leads into, as I was talking about, Nightfall. And he's the only one that's been known to break the bat. If you have not read Nightfall, it was one of those really excellent events back in the day. They took their time. A lot of the Bat books were on board, and everyone did an excellent job on that event. Now, kind of a side note, the idea of Venom and Santa Prisca came from Denny O'Neil. He had introduced Venom in Legends of the Dark Knight issues 16 through 20, and he introduced, I think he said, Santa Prisca from his character, The Question. So it's kind of cool that he laid the groundwork, and then, new writers came in and they expounded upon it. And that's how you make the mythos of any type of character interesting. Now, with his backstory out of the way, the only accessory that he comes with is this Stinger gauntlet. I don't know why Bane needs an accessory, but extra stuff's always a welcome addition. It looks cool. I kind of wish, again, like I said, this is an older figure, but it'd been kind of neat to see some more detail in there. Like you can see what they were trying to do. It makes it look like kind of like an Infinity Gauntlet per se, but some black wash on there or some gunmetal gray really would have set the whole thing off, make it look like post-apocalyptic or dystopian. That would have been neat. But it fits in his hand relatively well. He has a relaxed hand and a fist hand, and you just line it up along his arm. And when you already try to do it on camera, it's going to be a pain in the ass. And then the other thing that he comes with, I guess you could call an accessory, is he comes with Venom Powered Punch. So he has a button here on the back, and just like a lot of the figures from those days, you got the whoosh, whoosh, uppercut. So, okay, well, that is what it is. But anytime you get an accessory with the figure, it's always a welcome thing. Now, for the figure himself, I love how they, made sure that Bane had like the look he's supposed to, but it has, that cool luchador mask going on, the red on his eyes and his face. Great stuff. And now remember, this was 1996, so still to see a little bit of details of where like his mouth, his nose, the wrinkles in his eyes. And that's why I say this figure had to have been made by someone who loved Bane and or loved the Batman mythos. The long hair is an interesting choice, but again, this is supposed to be like a dystopian type of Elseworlds we're in, so they have to make it look different. The musculature work looks awesome. I like that they put a scar in there, and I'm sure for the sake of parents, they couldn't really exaggerate it, because it puts like a little bit of like some black wash on there or a little bit of red. That would have been cool. But yeah, to see how strong Bane's supposed to be. You see the veins where the venom's pumping through his body. Good stuff. The belt looks fancy. Of course, one of his trademark, it's like a leotard essentially, I think is what he wears. I'm not sure. It's like a wrestler outfit, but yeah. The gold gauntlets. Again, for an older figure, this attention to detail, they didn't need to do that. The red cables wrapping around his legs, or the gold knee pads, or the wrestler boots. That was really cool added. Or, being able to add the muscles and the veins around his back. They didn't need to go into that much detail because this was being sold in the toy aisles. And, a lot of kids at that age don't really care. The one thing to watch out for is I like how these are loose, but they do have a tendency to pop out. And it's not broken. It's just, I think they did that so if you put them up against Batman, you could rip the Venom out and defeat him. So yeah, the paint apps, for an older figure like this, I'm very well pleased, especially that face sculpt. That's what I was saying, is you could tell someone really was excited to work on this figure, because that is a lot of excellent detail. Now for the articulation, let's keep in mind we don't want to judge this thing too harshly, because this is an older figure before companies started thinking about collectors and keeping them in mind. So with that said, being a collector now and being kind of spoiled, going back to these is the kind of the equivalent of ordering a steak and you get a cold hot dog on a paper plate instead. Anyway, that's the analogy. So his arms can spin. Well, this one, because it's that, you have to be kind of careful with it, but you can get it to spin 360. Same with this arm. No articulation whatsoever in the head or the diaphragm, as you can see. He can spin very well there, and I'm glad that the cables do not hinder the movement there. I'm very thankful for that. His legs can only go up that much on both sides, so go back about that far and about that far, but then that's where the articulation stops, because again, older figure, there's no pivots here, no bends here, no articulation or thigh cuts there, and you cannot go side to side. You try to do that, you're going to bust the crap out of this thing. So you can't judge the figure too hard, because again, back in the day, companies, they just wanted to push product out, so You know, a lot of my old collectibles that I have do this type of thing, and I'm glad that whenever I pull some of them out of storage, you know, I still got that uppercut action, or what was that called from the Toys Who Made Us? Oh, the G.I. Joe, the Ninja G.I. Joe that had the karate punch. I can't remember. Kung Fu Grip, I think is what they called it. Now, with that said, in terms of the articulation, one thing that I hate is, okay, you can't straighten the legs out, so he only has one way he's going to stand. That's it. You know, you try to straighten the legs up to make him look more like he's standing up, you're going to have a bad time. You want to try to get him to run, because there's no way to adjust the pivots, you're going to have a bad time. So I try not to judge too harshly, but at the same time, it's like, give me more. That's one thing McFarlane needs to do. I mean, I know we got that Last Night on Earth Bane that's black and white, but we still need an upgraded traditional Bane from McFarlane Toys. So the articulation, it is what it is for a 1996 Kenner figure. I'll try not to judge it too harshly, but just in this constant pose, it drives me nuts. Now, here's Bane up against some characters that we've already reviewed. This is the Dark Father Wave Wonder Woman, the Infected Superman Wave Batman who laughs with the Sky Tyrant wings. This was the Dark Knight Death Metal Batman, and then this was again the Dark Knight Death Metal Dark Father Wave Superman. And this is what I was talking about, is if those knees, you could actually straighten them out like you can with these characters, just think about how tall this actual figure would stand instead of having like that lean going on like he's doing a break dance or something. That's why these older figures, as much as I love the nostalgia of them, that's why I shy away from them, because even though some of them look gorgeous, I don't want to play with that lack of articulation. I'd rather have my range, and that's just me. But as you can see, even just putting him here, he was a big guy for the time. I mean, he's already standing at almost 7 inches along with the rest of these characters. Now, just for some funsies, let's move Diana and the Crooked Bruce here, and let's put him up against the Merciless, which this is actually where that Sky Tyrant Batman is actually from, not the Infected Superman. I'm not with the program today. But as you can see, even though this was a tall figure for 96, that Merciless, man, he's just towering over everybody. Even when you bring back in Sky Tyrant Batman, and of course he doesn't want to stand, he wants to fall. And you bring back Diana. Here's Diana and the Sky Tyrant Batman up against the Merciless and Bane. You can just see this character. Whew, I don't know. I just love that one so much. Just really awesome work. Yeah, he could be wobbly and he falls down and it really pisses you off, but still worth it. And again, this Bane, just the way I'm oogling and ogling over the Merciless, just think of how gorgeous this was back in the day. So being able to have it now and putting him up against these newer figures, I love seeing where we were and where we've come since then. This Bane, as I said at the beginning, aesthetic-wise, absolutely phenomenal. Whoever decided to do this one really liked the character. The only real things this character, or this piece, should I say, suffers from is just about what every character from this time period excuse me, suffered from. No flipping articulation. But at the time, they were just trying to sell them to get them in the stores, and they didn't really care. Because I have so many toys that are like that. And that's just how it was. As we're nowadays, it's mostly collectors who want all those articulation points. I mean, if you could move his arms and his legs and his head, and he had a diaphragm joint, oh man, we'd be sitting pretty with this piece. But sadly, he only has that, what do you call it? Venom-powered punch. It doesn't really pack a punch to me. But as a collector, I can appreciate it. Gorgeous piece. Wish there was more articulation. That's the only part about it that I hate. Other than that, very well sculpted. Could use some black wash, as I said, but that's neither here nor there. I'm happy with it. I'm glad it's in my collection. You know, and it just reminds me of a piece in my past because I actually remember seeing this in Target way back in the day. So if you guys have enjoyed this Bane, as I said, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and see if someone maybe traded one in. If not, then I'll keep my fingers crossed for you on the secondary market. If you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little Venom bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with y'all and hearing your feedback down in the comments below or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.